Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Use an resource quota API. It will open that resource quota API and create a resource quota. Create a resource quota with this name. We define the same using metadata and naming convention. So what it has done, it has created a resource quota with memory, CPU demo, the naming convention, specification about the custom quota which we have created. So in that we have defined these are my hard limits. Okay, these are my hard limit I have defined. So request CPU, it is the CPU request total for all container must not exceed 1 core. All the CPU, it should not exceed 1 core, and this is the memory request total for all container must not exceed 1 GB. Limit CPU, the maximum CPU limit we have defined in this namespace, that this namespace should not use more than 2 core processor and 2 GB of RAM. Is it clear? Huh?
What is the difference between CPU?
Let's deploy pod, then only you will understand more on this. Okay, what is limit CPU and request CPU? Okay, so we'll deploy a pod. You will get more clarity on that. I will oversubscribe the limit and see that it is getting deployed or not. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will create a new YAML file. Pod.yaml. As usual, here also I will put API version v1 kind Previously we have created replica controller. Now I am deploying my pod, so I will use kind as pod. Metadata about my pod, the naming convention I want to define about once it is launched. I want to have a naming. So I will call this as quota memory hyphen CPU hyphen demo. Then I need to define specification. So any YAML file you are writing, okay, the first thing will be API. Second one, what you are going to, which API do you want to access? Then what you are creating, so you need to define it through metadata, the name of the API which you have executed, and the specification about what you need to do. In specification, we want to deploy like through pod, we are going to deploy containers. So I put containers. Once it deploy that container, I want a naming convention to be given to my container, quota memory hyphen CPU hyphen demo hyphen container. Then which image it should use. So when I run this, it will use the Nginx image. So by default, it will go to hub.docker.com and download the image. If you have private repository, so you can define http://mypvt.com, the private repository where you are storing your file. Resources, like when this container are being launched, I want a limits to be given. 800 millicore processor. CPU should be, sorry, limits. I will define a limit of limits in memory colon 800 mi. CPU, it should use below 1 core, so 800 millicore CPU it is going to use. Request memory colon 600 MB memory it should use, and CPU colon 400 millicore CPU it should use. So copy this vi pod.yaml. I'll save this. ctl get ns. ctl apply hyphen f pod.yaml to be applied in particular my namespace. I don't want quota memory hyphen CPU hyphen example. It should be resources. It has been created. Now I will create another pod one.yaml file. I'll copy this only. Copy pod.yaml to pod.one.yaml. VI pod 1 dot YAML. I will oversubscribe. Memory, I want 1 gigabyte. QQ800 V4 is okay. I will use 700 MI. And I try to apply this. VI pod 1 dot YAML. Already I have that same name container. I need to, that is the reason it don't get applied. Okay. Here also 2 different pods, 2 different containers. It add, it commit -m pod and pod 1. It push -new origin master 309. Not only that, when we kubectl get namespace, kubectl get namespace, quota hyphen memory hyphen CPU hyphen example. Not get, it should be described. Here you can see that 800 millicore I am using from 2 CPU and 800 MB of RAM. First time when we deploy the pod. Okay, do it. What you need to do is I have uploaded that pod 1 and pod 2. Okay, I have uploaded in Fidelity K8s. There is a pod 1 and pod YAML, pod.yaml and pod1.yaml. Deploy this pod.yaml. While deploying, kubectl apply -f. kubectl apply -f. First command you need to do kubectl apply -f. Then do describe and see that how much space it is using. Then try to deploy the second pod and see the error and explain me what I have done. Do it, all of you. What I have done is simply in a resource quota, means I have created in my namespace, I have allocated some resource. So there I have defined that how much CPU or memory it can use, means maximum limit I have defined. Not only that maximum limit, there is also I have defined request, like in a pod there will be multiple containers. Okay, I don't want that all the one container can consume all the resources. So I also define a limit. I also define a limit on the container also, that any container should not use more than 1 core processor and 1 GB of RAM. There is a request CPU and request memory. I have put limit CPU, limit memory. What it means is that limit CPU, limit memory, in this resource quota, I am giving 2 core processor and 2 GB of RAM. That is the maximum limit I have defined. Also, I have defined request CPU, request memory. When we talk about request CPU, request memory, means in this namespace there will be 100 of container which is running, but I want that none of the containers should use more than 1 core processor or 1 GB of RAM. Understand the difference between request and limit.
Yeah, got it. So then after you created a pod.ml, right? There you mentioned for pod, in a pod, one container should not limit 800 MB of memory and one core. Is it?
Yeah. Means in pod level also I can define the source. Okay.
Okay.
In pod level internally, like in a pod, there will be multiple containers. There also I have defined a resource that limit that they should not consume more memory or processing power. Okay. So that way means I have defined one resource quota in my namespace. Then inside my pod also I have defined resource quota.
Gopal, apart from this, there are also parameters like max memory and max CPU, right? Can you explain on those two parameters, please?
Max memory and max CPU.
Yeah, I actually want to understand the difference between limits and max.
Just a second.
Yes.
Those max memory and max CPU are being it is there previously, but nowadays like it has been used request CPU and limit CPU using that.
Oh, okay. It is no more the syntax, is it?
No. Previously it is there. Now it has been merged using request CPU and limit CPU. There are making so many changes. Kubernetes is growing on daily basis. The latest 1.9 version, they have come up with so many new things. Command line is not changing, but
sorry, Gopal, what was it?
command line is not changing, but they are coming up with new ideas.
Okay. Thanks.
So Gopal, here I have one question. See, when you applied that quota.yaml file to that namespace, this is the output. After you applied the pod.yaml file, there is no change, right? Why you need to check?
Deploy that pod.yaml, then deploy that pod1.yaml also. First deploy pod.yaml, then deploy pod1.yaml, then do this, then check what is happening.
Okay.
Gopal, could you please brief again this request and limit for the namespace? By seeing the numbers, I got confused. I got an error while I deployed the pod one. So just want to understand.
Like
Yeah, I deployed the pod one also, but it's an exceeded limit. Something.
Yeah, exit limit because of kubectl describe names. See how much we are using. Just give a command kubectl describe namespace. Compare with pod one. That's why it is not deployed. How much we have already used?
800.
600 plus 700 greater than 1 gigabyte now.
Okay. No, that limit and request at the namespace level, can you please tell me again? Like, if a
namespace, like this is my 2 BHK home, maximum 2 people can stay. Okay.
Yeah.
But 2 people are staying and they will have 2 different room also. And they should not use more than that. Okay. So similar to that, I have a namespace. Inside that namespace, maximum, I am putting maximum, then that particular namespace should not use more than 2 core processor and 2 GB of RAM. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one limit I have put. Okay.
Yeah.
The other limit I have put is in a pod we can have multiple containers also, is it right? So
Yes.
in my particular namespace, there will be multiple pods also or multiple containers also. There also I am limiting it that none of the containers should use more than 1 core processor, 1 GB of RAM. Okay.
Okay.
The first thing, I allocate an space to you. Okay. 1 core or 2 core processor, 2 GB of RAM.
Yeah.
Also, I have put another condition that in that place there are 2 rooms, 2 people can stay there, not more than that. And they have to be isolated from each other. They can use that. First people can use this much room, second people can this much room. There is no place left out for the third one. Or simple term, in Kubernetes language, it is simple. I create a namespace with 2 core processor, 2 GB of RAM, and 2 core processor, 2 GB of RAM. Not only that, inside that 2 core processor, 2 GB of RAM, none of the containers should use more than 1 core processor or 1 GB of RAM. Clear?
Okay.
Means once I limit you in a space, in that space also, every person cannot move more than that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
That limitation also I have put it. It is like in your it's not like buffet unlimited lunch. Okay, you got fixed thali. If there are so many foods are available, okay, you can see that there is more foods are available. but I kept it for my other guests that they will come like when you are child. Okay. Our parents cook very good food sometimes. Okay. So we want to eat everything, but those are being cooked for some guests also. So if I try also, then also I cannot eat those food. Okay. And they have limited me that you will get one piece of part of it, not more than that. The simplest term is I have a namespace. In that namespace, I can have 100 containers, but none of the container can use more than 1 core processor and 1 GB of RAM. Not only that, while deploying pod also, I have defined that it should, my pod should all the time use this much memory or RAM. Okay, that also I have defined it using pod. In pod, I have defined the resource. Okay. In pod also, we have defined limit that this pod should not use more than 1 GB of RAM and 800 MB, 800 millicore processor. Okay. And, the YAML. Like while deploying my pod also, I have limit that inside this pod, it should not use more than 800 MB of RAM and 800 millicore of processor. Okay. This is the limit I have defined for my pod also. In pod, we can have multiple containers. So none of the containers should use more than 600 MB of RAM and more than 400 MB. Like in this, the pod, this is my pod limit I have defined. This pod can have more than 800 MB of memory and 800 millicore of processor. Inside that pod, I can have multiple containers, but none of the containers should use more than 600 MB of RAM and 400 MB, 400 millicore of processor. But when I deploy this pod, okay, it will always try to gather 800 MB of RAM and 800 means it will, in simple term, when I deploy this pod, it will in my namespace. When I deploy this pod in my namespace, it will take 800 MB of RAM and 800 millicore of processor. Okay. If it is not using it also, then also it will consume that much RAM and processing power. Pod level limit and request has been understood or not?
So in this case, you'll not be able to create another container, right, in that pod? Because you got only 800 MB and already you have a container that CTR is using 600 MB already, right? Like if you are creating again, then the request would be around again 200 MB or something like that, right?
Yes, yes. We have to manage accordingly.
Okay. Okay.
Limiting my resource on my limit. I have limited the resource on my namespace. Then I have this limit the resource on my pod level also. Okay.
Yeah.
So using Kubernetes, I can minutely control my environment. Okay, quota management I can do. All of you, is it clear or not?
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Got an understanding of quota and limits?
What if you want to create a multiple containers? So how can we
Every
do?
containers you can have request quota and limit. Below that, start with another image. It's like Python list you can create. I'll come on that using deployment. I will teach you how to create multi-container app. Every container you can define how much limit you want, how much. All of you, did you got an understanding of resource quota in Kubernetes? All these sessions are being recorded. You can ask the recording later on tomorrow afternoon. They shared it with Google.
So Gopal, how would we know that how much limit and resources we should give? It all depends on your application, right? The an app server where your application is hosting and how much that services that you are running, how much memory, we depend on that. Is that at some formula or something like?
There is no formula available. You have to analyze your application, how much RAM and processing power it is using. And according to that, okay,
Okay.
you can allocate. Mainly what happens is that this resource quota is being applied in development environment. Because I have a Kubernetes cluster. There are so many developers, they are pushing they are always creating pod and deploying it. They are okay, but once they finish work, they don't delete it.
Oh.
And like it is like an virtual cluster we have created. In that we have production cluster is also running. Okay, if I don't block these people, the development people, to delete the previous container or stop it, do something, okay, my production cluster will be affected. Sometimes they put like using auto scaling, they suddenly increase the number of pod to hundreds. Okay, so it will affect my production cluster. So in that type of scenario, like in production, we hardly put a limit, but in development or staging environment, we will always put limit.
Okay.
Nowadays, resources are easily available, like processor, RAM. It's not a big deal nowadays. Okay, but for development purpose, we need to control it.
But in order to organize and work, you need to have better processes in organization.
Yeah. Kubernetes now also is running on all the dirty stages. There is no process has been created. OpenShift is much more sophisticated, which is built on top of Kubernetes. They have seen all this drawback, and according to that, they have created it. But they are selling it. Here it is free of cost. So we have to design according to our requirement.
Hmm.
Anyone else has doubt on quota? No one?
When you're creating pod, before you have to create a namespace. For the namespace, you created quota, and then we created a pod. Inside that, we run container. Is it?
Yes. The first will be namespace. Without namespace, it will go to the default namespace. Okay.
Okay.
And what I will do is to manage that default namespace, I will put 1 MB of RAM and 1 MB of no processing power. Okay. So I will force you that you should create your own namespace, allocate quota, then deploy your container on top of it. Okay. Yeah.
Here you limited uh, namespace level as well as the pod level. Is it?
Yes. Both the levels.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, got it.
So
And
it will be like
uh,
minute quota level management. Yeah.
how do you define more number of containers at one shot? Like we are creating just one container, right?
I'll come on that multi-container application. I'll show you.
Okay. Okay.
I'll come on multi-container application.
Sure.
This is just for quota management. So we'll come on multi-container.
That quota can be applied after the creation or during creation also. If you have the quota file ready, you can, like here we are applying in the command. So is there an option to directly while creating itself, you can attach that?
No, no, no.
No. Okay.
The next thing we are going to do in our cluster is that we'll deploy a dashboard, okay, and see what are the things which is there inside it. And we can easily monitor our Kubernetes cluster using the dashboard. I'll come on that multi-container application. Let's deploy a dashboard so that you will know plenty of the things. To deploy the dashboard, just give this command kubectl apply. They already have predefined dashboard created. You can run this command, it will deploy a dashboard on top of Kubernetes. And if you go kubectl get no get namespace kubectl get pod hyphen all hyphen name spaces, you can see that your dashboard is running. There is a dashboard metrics tab which will get metrics about all your nodes, pod, and everything. And there is a dashboard. Two things are should be in the running state. Is it deployed? All of you, did you deploy that dashboard?
Yeah.
Okay. Now to access that dashboard, you need to create a user. You have to go to this site and create the user. To create a user in Kubernetes, you need to define API version, kind, it should be service account, the name of the user, and where you want to deploy this. Means this admin user, it is not like that he will have access. He will have access to only the dashboard service. You can copy this and paste it here. The service account admin user has been created. Then you need to create a cluster role. Means once you create the user, you need to give a role-based access to that particular user. And finally get the bearer token. This is the token which you can use it to log in. Once you got the bearer token, okay. Now, if you give a command kubectl get svc -- all -- namespace. Sorry. You can see that the dashboard has been created. Okay, the Kubernetes dashboard has been deployed. SVC is nothing. You need to, whenever you want to expose any application using Kubernetes, so you have to use kubectl svc command. This will allow you to expose it. So the dashboard has been created, but it is running through cluster IP. It means that this dashboard is running through internal. It is not accessible outside Kubernetes cluster. What I need to do is I need to edit this service, make it a node port. Then only I can access the same. I'll give a command kubectl edit svc. This is one-time exercise. Kubernetes dashboard, where it is there in place of -- namespace, just put name. It is running on Kubernetes dashboard namespace. You can see that same namespace. Here, in place of cluster IP, it should be node port. It should be node port. Type should be node port. Now, if you give a command kubectl get svc -name namespace Kubernetes ETS -dashboard. You can see that the dashboard is now, we create node port. So this dashboard is available using this port number. So now if I IP space, I need to go to the fidelity. This has been deployed on master node. In master node, I will put home https : kubectl. It is running on 31757. 31757.
Should be 19. Your master node is 19.
Okay, yeah, sorry. 19. not secure advance. I don't have SSL certificate. So here you need to put that bearer token. And copy this and paste it in the doc.
You missed a copy.
You missed the letter E.
What I'm missing. Anything I'm missing? I create the namespace. Service account. It is there. The rule binding has been run with the dashboard. Unchanged. I think I have put the PowerShell. Few people also tried now. No problem. Then from this GitHub link, create the user and the role.
So where we need to change that node cluster IP to node. Can you paste that command here?
Just a second. First, give that command kubectl get svc hyphen n Kubernetes dashboard. Then do kubectl edit svc Kubernetes dashboard. If you go below type equal to cluster IP it is showing, make it n capital node PORT4. You got that code, but next you need to do is put it in one single line by removing spaces.
Gopal, what is the host name that we have to give to access the dashboard? My host name, it is showing as master node 14. I saw something else when you entered the screen.
Yeah, master node 14.
14, yeah, that's fine.
HTTPS.
Gopal, mine is done. I created dashboard.
Did you got the GUI interface of dashboard?
Yes.
Good man. What you can see in the dashboard. Something like this.
Yeah.
As a developer, till we do not get this type of something, we don't like it. Okay. You can see that there is node worker node 19. Click on it, you will see that how much time it is up. CPU memory, how many pods you have using it. Go through it, please. Okay. So many things available in the dashboard. In master node also, it will show you the IP plus how much CPU you are using, memory, RAM. What are the services which is running on top of your master machine? Everything you can see.
Gopal, so when we need to give this HVC command, which stuff?
Huh?
Have created up to the token level. So when we need to give,
Yeah, now
this
do
HVC.
the edit. Now do kubectl edit SVC command. Okay. After the token, go below. It should be node ports in place of plus I. Okay. Then keep kubectl get SVC. Once you save it, kubectl get SVC. You got a port number like 31757 I am getting.
Okay.
Here copy master nodes, whatever number you have it. South India Cloud app.azure.com : the port number, but put HTTPS in front of it, not HTTP.
Okay.
Okay, actually, I put the HTTPS, but the URL is not loading.
Yeah, I'm also facing the same issue. The URL is not loading.
HTTPS. First do kubectl get SVC. Can you see the port number?
Yeah, we are able to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the URL before that HTTPS.
Yeah.
Here you can see that it has been internally exposed on 443. How can you expect HTTP to that?
So Gopal, I have actually pinged my details. I'm not able to access this. It is still saying unable to reach the site and the site is not loading. But it is exposed as node port and the port is 32009.
Please enroll our general membership for $3.99 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.